Hey guys, Drata Arcana here, back with another character build guide. And this time, we're looking at Marvel's Avengers Iron Man missile spam. I found this build quite by accident, and it's actually probably one of the stronger builds that I think I've been able to put together. Honestly, it's a super easy build to play, and you'll see that in the gameplay portion. But let's jump right into it. What you need to make sure that this build is functioning optimal. Okay, first off, let's talk about a stat that we haven't covered yet called precision. Now, if you look at precision, you'll see that it governs your ranged damage. Your range damage is what you're going to want to focus on. Missiles are strictly range damage, and so they're governed by the precision stat. Next up, the next stat we're going to look at is Valor, and the reason that we're going to look at Valor is for heroic effectiveness, but mostly we're going to be looking at that critical damage. You kind of want to get that critical damage up as high as you can, because of the fact that, once again, the more critical damage you have, the higher damage output you're going to have overall. The next stat we're going to look at is definitely proficiency, but you don't need it as high this time. You're going to be firing a lot of rockets with this build, and there's just no way around that. You're basically going to be spamming rockets strictly, so you're going to have plenty of chances to crit, so you don't need as much proficiency. You mostly want to focus in on Valor and precision. The reason for this is, well, we'll look at the abilities. So next up is the skills. Now this is where things do get more intriguing with your character builds. We do not care about repulsors. We do not care about lasers. You can completely ignore these two trees with this build, allowing you to spend your skill points elsewhere. You might want to spend a little bit into melee, but once again, you're never going to be in melee combat, or at least almost never. The tree that you definitely want to focus in on your primary is rockets only. Definitely you want to go ahead and grab those smart rockets, which give you a lock-on for multiple target rockets. What this does is that it fires rockets that do a tiny bit of damage, and then when they explode, they do their big damage. Javelin you can grab. I find myself that I'm not using Javelin all that much. You almost are never pressing the triangle button or the square button, so this is kind of a moot point. Basically, you're just going to be using that L2 and R2. Basically your micro rockets are going to be pretty much your go-to, so anything that powers them up is going to be great. So really, your primary, you're basically looking at one tree, low skill point there. This is where you want to focus is, mastery is where we want to focus. This is where this build comes to life. So if you can hold onto your skill points until you unlock the mastery at level 15, that is going to benefit you more. Basically, we're looking at ranged combat here. These are mandatory for the build. I will not stress that enough. Basically, the first ability that we want to grab is something called rocket efficiency. Decreases the intrinsic energy cost for rocket attacks by 10%. The reason for this is that, your rockets are one of the highest cost abilities that you can use on Iron Man, and this drops their cost by 10%. Then what we want to do is grab the rocket specialization. This is absolutely essential to the build. It gives your regular rockets, your micro rockets basically, where you just hold L2 and press R2, those become lock-on. So basically you're just going to sit there spamming the R2 button while holding down L2. This makes this build super easy to play, super efficient, and basically you're never in melee combat because you're always in the air, so you can ignore about 80% of combat by just flying around shooting rockets, and it does a lot of damage, as you'll see in the gameplay footage. Next ability you want to grab is Rocket Mastery. This increases the damage for all rocket attacks by 12%. Now that might not seem like a lot, but it is a ton of damage output that you are gaining from that ability. You can pretty much ignore utility. Intrinsic ability will actually be kind of necessary. Um, Basically what you want to do is grab the stun intrinsic boost. Stunning an enemy instantly boosts intrinsic energy by 25 points. So your intrinsic energy is what you use to fire your rockets. So anytime that an enemy becomes stunned by your rockets, you get back 25 points. So you're basically, just by sheer attacking, you're going to regenerate your energy. Then what you're going to want is overcharge damage boost. So this is going to cause it where you're under the effect of arc reactor, increases damage for all attacks while overcharged by 12.5%. So with this combined, this is going to make sure that you basically maintain those energy levels. Also keep in mind that when you use your arc reactor, you're going to completely fill your energy levels. So that's always going to be nice. Next up in this tree here, the ranged attack mastery, you're going to want to grab the last ability, weapon efficiency. 15% reduction to intrinsic energy meter cost for all ranged attacks and weapons. So combine this with your ability called rocket efficiency. You're getting a 25% reduction on your rockets, which is significant. You can fire rockets almost infinitely because of this. So you're never really going to be not firing a rocket. Some other abilities you can take, though not necessarily necessary, is the takedown upgrade to drop intrinsic orbs, which will basically recharge your energy meters. And this one is actually mandatory here, melee upgrade. It's called Stun Mastery. Increase all stun damage dealt to enemies by 15%. This helps with increasing that stun meter. So with the stun meter being raised really effectively, combined with the arc, no, not that one, the stun intrinsic boost, this means that basically you're going to be stunning an enemy, and you're just going to get refunded for intrinsic energy every time you stun the enemy. Okay, next up is the what we're going to look at is we're going to go back to specialty here and kind of talk about this. This is actually critical for your Hulkbuster. This is your boss killer. Basically, you want Hulkbuster and this ability here, Magna Missile. What you want to do is then you want to grab, to bolster this, you want the Magna Missile upgrade, which allows you to target up to 8 enemies. This includes a single enemy, so you can basically, it fires basically more missiles. Next, you want hypercoils. Hulkbuster to be deployed for 5 more seconds. Then, you want to grab this, Hyper Reactor. This allows it to be deployed for 5 more seconds. This effectively gives you about 2.5 Magno missile spams that basically you can get 2 Magnum missiles out of it, which is a lot of missiles to be fired all at once that scale with your precision. So this is absolutely essential to dealing damage to those Taskmaster and other bosses. Other than that, grabbing the Unibeam Specialization 1, you probably are going to want reserve capacitors for that ability to spam that ability 3 times. This helps with taking out enemies. And then combo that with Unibeam Specialization 2, Concentrated Fire, which means that when you use your reserve capacitors, the next attack against that target will be 30% stronger. But then if you use it again on the same target, it is also 30% stronger. You use your Unibeam when you need to recharge your intrinsic energy as a ranged attack. That is the only reason we have it like that. It gives us time to recharge our energy just regularly. After that, for your support abilities, you're going to want Arc Overload with Arc Supercharge. Basically increasing the overcharge state by 3 seconds. And then we want for number 2, we want EMP Amplifier, which increases the range and intensity of electromagnetic pulse shockwave by 30%. That's great. Actually, this ability doesn't matter as much, so that's fine. The real ability that we want here is the Arc Infusion, which basically, when activated, you regain 100% of your intrinsic energy. And then you want Arc Extension, which increases the Arc Overload by 3 seconds. The reason for this is that while under effect of Arc Overload, all ranged attack damage is increased and attack speed is also enhanced. This is essential for doing lots of damage very quickly with your missiles, and absolutely essential to the build. Otherwise, guys, that's pretty much the build, and other than that, I don't really have anything else to say. It is a very easy build to play, as you're about to see. So thank you. So that's the build. Anyways, let's get into some gameplay.
Nice work, everyone.
Oh, you picked the wrong ship. Ooh, is it getting hot in here?
Formidable. But we prevail.
Okay, less talking, more fighting. Boy, did you choose the wrong side.
Nice work, everyone.
I'd run if I were you. Your gun!
Wind blows, lightning strike!
Nap time!
That was...
Hey, where did this thing come from? Have a night, sweetheart.
Formidable. We prevailed.
Well, guys, that's going to cover it for this video. If you liked the video, please like. If you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe to see more content like this. And we'll see you guys on the next video.